No one in Black Ridge County could agree on when the cabin first appeared. That wasn't unusual on its own. Memories fade, people misremember. But this was different. There were inconsistencies that couldn't be explained away. Old men who had hunted those woods for 50 years argued with each other in quiet, uneasy voices. Some claimed they had passed that exact spot hundreds of times and never seen anything. Others swore they had avoided it their entire lives without knowing why. Even written records didn't help. One journal from the 1970s described a wooden structure deep beyond the North Ridge, yet a survey from that same year showed nothing but untouched forest. It was as if the cabin slipped in and out of existence, or worse, as if it only existed when someone was meant to find it. Ethan Cole didn't believe in fate. He believed in opportunity. His channel had been growing steadily, abandoned hospitals, haunted tunnels, forgotten houses, but nothing had truly exploded yet. He needed something bigger, something that blurred the line between real and unreal so convincingly that people wouldn't be able to look away. When he first read about Black Ridge, it sounded perfect. A cabin no one could track, people who went missing, voices in the woods. It was almost too good. "All right, guys," Ethan said, adjusting the camera as he stood at the edge of the forest. "This might be the creepiest location I've ever done." The sky above him was already dimming, the sun bleeding out behind layers of thick cloud. "I've got about 2 hours of daylight left, so we're heading in now." He hesitated for a moment, glancing at the tree line. It felt wrong, like standing at the edge of deep water without knowing how far it went. He shook it off. "Let's go." The forest swallowed him quickly. Within minutes, the road disappeared behind him, replaced by uneven ground and dense clusters of trees that grew far too close together. Branches scraped against each other overhead, forming a tangled canopy that blocked out the sky. Ethan kept talking as he walked, narrating, filling the silence. But the deeper he went, the more the silence pushed back. At first, it was subtle. The absence of birds, then insects, then wind. Even his own breathing began to sound too loud, unnatural in the stillness. "Okay," he said, lowering his voice slightly. "I don't like how quiet it is." He stopped walking. The silence pressed in around him, heavy, almost physical. Then came the sound. A single step behind him. Ethan spun around instantly, raising the camera. "Hello?" Nothing. Just trees, still, unmoving. He laughed nervously. Probably just me. But he started walking faster. The smell hit him next. Damp wood. Rot. And beneath it, that metallic edge. Faint, but unmistakable. "Yeah, that's not good," he muttered. And then, the cabin. It didn't emerge gradually. It wasn't hidden behind trees or revealed slowly through the branches. One moment, there was nothing. The next, it was just there. Ethan stopped dead in his tracks. What the hell? He hadn't heard himself approach it, hadn't seen it from a distance. It was like he had walked into the space where it already existed. The structure itself was small, no more than a single room, but something about it felt disproportionate. Wrong. The angles didn't quite line up. The roof slanted slightly too far on one side. The door sat just a little off-center. And the windows, they were completely black. Not dark, not shadowed, just empty. Ethan slowly approached, his instincts screaming at him to stop. "This is it," he whispered into the camera. As he got closer, a strange sensation crept over him. Not fear, not yet. Something else. Recognition. "I've seen this before," he said quietly. But that didn't make sense. He would remember something like this, wouldn't he? The door creaked open on its own. Ethan froze. Every instinct told him to turn around, to leave, to run. Instead, he stepped inside. The temperature dropped instantly. Not just cold, wrong cold. The kind that felt like it came from inside your bones rather than the air around you. His flashlight flickered once before stabilizing. The room was simple. Table, chair, walls. But the walls, they were covered in scratches. Not random, not chaotic, deliberate, layered, endless. Ethan moved closer, his breath shallow. "They're symbols," he whispered, or attempts at symbols. Some were deep and jagged, carved with force. Others were faint, barely visible, like whoever made them had been too weak to finish. Then he noticed something else. The newer scratches were on top, cutting through the old ones, overwriting them. The door slammed shut. Ethan jumped, spinning around. "No!" He rushed to it, grabbing the handle. It didn't move, not even slightly. Okay, this isn't funny anymore. Behind him, a sound. Soft, wet, dragging. Ethan froze. Slowly, he looked down at his camera, still recording, still pointed toward the room, but the angle was wrong. With trembling hands, he lifted it, turned it toward himself, and saw something standing behind him. This time, it was closer, much closer. Its body didn't seem stable, like it was constantly shifting between shapes, limbs stretching and retracting slightly, as if unsure how long they should be. Its head tilted further, studying him. Ethan's voice broke. "There's something behind me." The thing leaned in. Its face, still blank, began to change. Not forming features, not exactly. Remembering them. Eyes pressed outward from beneath the surface. A mouth stretched into existence. Not opening, just forming. And when it did, Ethan realized something horrifying. It wasn't copying a face. It was copying his. The walls began to shake. The scratches moved violently now, carving deeper, faster. Wood splintered. Dust filled the air. Words formed. "You came back." "I was never here," Ethan shouted. The words shifted instantly. "You always come back." The room stretched. That was the only way to describe it. The walls seemed to pull further apart, the corners bending outward, the ceiling rising higher than it should. The cabin was growing, or revealing more of itself. And in the darkness beyond the edges of the room, shapes moved. Not one, not two, dozens, watching, waiting. Ethan staggered backward, shaking his head. "No, no, no, no!" The thing behind him spoke, not with a voice, but with many voices, layered, broken. "Stay!" Ethan screamed. The camera fell, the image tilted, and for a brief moment, the footage captured something impossible.
The inside of the cabin stretching endlessly, corridors forming where walls should be, doors appearing and disappearing, figures moving just beyond the reach of light, and Ethan being pulled backward, not by hands, but by the darkness itself. The last thing visible before the footage cut was his face, staring directly into the camera. And behind his eyes, something else looking out. They found the camera 2 days later, placed carefully at the forest edge, facing outward, as if something had left it there so it could be found. The footage spread quickly online, millions of views, endless debates, fake, edited, ARG, marketing stunt. But some people noticed things others didn't. Shapes in the background, movements that shouldn't be there, frames where Ethan wasn't alone, even before entering the cabin. And the audio, if you isolated it, enhanced it, listened closely, you could hear whispers, not just one voice, many, repeating the same phrase over and over. He remembered. A month later, a hiker went missing, then another and another. Each time the same story. They heard a voice in the woods calling for help, familiar, human. Ethan's voice. "Please, I know the way out. I can show you. Just follow me." And deep in Black Ridge Forest, the cabin still stands, but it is no longer small. Those who have seen it now describe something different, a structure that stretches further than it should, rooms where there were none, windows where something looks back. And if you get too close, you might notice something carved into the door, not scratched, carefully written, clearly, as if someone finally learned how. Welcome back.